This is a 2013 Chevy Impala. We have a complaint that car will stumble and we have a long crank time after refueling. Main problem on pretty much any car is actually a purge valve. The purge valve gets stuck open, and during the refueling process we're going to enrich the we're going to push all that vapor from the tank into the charcoal canister, and if the purge valve is stuck open, it's going to start sucking all that fume into the basically extra fuel into the intake, and we're going to have a rich condition. Now, some cars might experience longer crank time. Some cars might experience longer crank time and a little hesitation for maybe a minute or two until that extra fuel is burned. Now, when you're looking at the purge valve, you know, each car has one. It's always connected to the intake manifold. You might have to Google it to find it, where its location is. And there's two checks we need to do. I need to disconnect a hose from the purge valve, the hose that goes into the evap system, and we can start the car and just check if there's any vacuum on the purge valve. There should not be. Now, the other thing that can happen also is that the purge valve can be electrically stuck open, where these energize as soon as we turn the key on. Now, most of the purge valves are ground size switched, which means that it receives the power from the fuse, and computer will close the circuit by applying the ground. Now, if we have a control wire that's you know, shorted to ground, or maybe the driver inside a computer that's shorted to ground, of course, and then this purge valve is going to be energized electrically all the time, and it's going to be open all the time. Now we're going to do a couple simple checks to address both of these situations, and so easy. Well, I'm sorry. What we can do to figure out if the electrically is okay, we want to unplug the electrical connector, and we're going to put a light across the or a test light or light bulb, whatever you got. Just make sure don't damage the pins, and but don't do this with the engine running, because sometimes some computers will actually actuate the pump, the valve at the idle, and then you might have false results. So I'm going to unplug this connector here, and I'm going to use a light. Now, if with the engine running, and if you put the light, you know, in your connector, you're always going to see your light is actually flicker a little bit, and that's normal. That's basically the computer is energizing the valve and use a pulse width modulated signal to close the circuit. So now I have these little connectors here connected to my light bulb, and I'm just gonna connect to my harness here, and I'm gonna turn the key on, and this light should not light. Alright, so let's do that real quick. So with the key on, we're gonna get the power to a because this fuse that feeds the power to a purge valve is hot only with the key on, or you know, engine running. Okay, so the key is on, and you can see the light is not lighting, which is good. So now we know it's not shorted to ground. Also, we can, if we want, we can now check the power. Let's see, we can just put it on the ground somewhere, see if we have a power. There you go, we have power to our purge valve. So okay, so now we know it's not electrically shorted, and the next step we're going to do, we're going to again unplug with the the connector unplugged. You're going to start the car, and most likely you're going to flag another code for a circuit on the purge valve, but that doesn't really matter. All you want to do is just to verify that your purge valve is stuck open. And so I'm going to unplug this hose here. This is the evap hose, and on this particular car we're going to push this plastic connector. Now Sometimes you might have a hard time to pull the hose back. Just use a penetrating oil a little bit and then it should come off. This is a purge valve on this Chevy Impala. This is electrical connector, so I'm just going to push this down, this white clip, and it's just kind of keep wiggling until it pops off. There you go. So next thing I'm going to do, we're going to start the car, and at this point we should not have any vacuum on this valve. If we do, then the valve is stuck open. And also we can use the vacuum gauge. Now if you don't have a vacuum gauge, all you need to do is just to get your finger, and it will suck your finger. You know, you'll feel the vacuum, negative pressure on this side of the purge valve. Let's go ahead and start the car. Alright, so the connector is unclogged, and we should not have any vacuum at all. I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but it's kind of... So we should not have a vacuum on this purge valve right now. So let's go ahead and hook up the vacuum gauge. And we pretty much have a full intake manifold vacuum, which we should not be. Okay, now we're gonna change the valve, and so to change this valve, it has a little bolt at the bottom. You just unbolted, and now I have a. This is 2013. I got this Duralast. It's a PV479, and so it's pretty simple. You just unscrew this bolt, take it out, put another one in, and you're done. Now something else we can do, if we blow through this, we can blow through this valve one side or another. We should not be able to blow the air through it. So let's see what's going to happen to this one. That's tight. Should be able to pull it out right now. There you go. Alright, so let's see if we can blow the air through this valve. Well, that should not happen. You should not be able to blow the air through it. Let's do this one. Okay, so all right. That's good. Now we're gonna start the car again, and we should not have that vacuum, manifold vacuum anymore in this valve now. Nothing. So let's put the gauge on. And we can see we don't have a vacuum on it. Okay, so that's done. I'm gonna reconnect the connector back in, connect your hose. That's it. Alright. Now, this is going to fix this part of your problem. That doesn't mean that you might not have another problem with your EVAP system. You have, but this will take care of your problem with a hard start during the refueling, after refueling. And so I'm gonna retest the rest of the system off camera. But this is your just for you guys who don't have any scan tool or you know, other instruments to test the EVAP system. This is an easy way to verify that everything is okay. Now actually we can feel now that the valve's being energized by the I can feel the clicking of the valve. Let me see if I can unplug it now. Most likely the computer is not gonna see. It would be nice to see. Yeah, it turned it off. I'm gonna shut the engine off, clear the codes, and leave the light on, and we can see actually when the computer energizes the valve. You know, we're gonna see how this light flickers a little bit. That's gonna verify that our wiring, our computer, and all that it works okay. Did not pull any codes before I started it, so I expect to see probably like a purge EVAP emission system purge control valve circuit. So this was done by me by unplugging the purge valve, okay, and then EVAP emission high purge flow, that's the one that's done with the P0946. That's the code that's caused by stuck open purge valve. And the EVAP emission purge control valve circuit, that's what I did, P0443, by unplugging the purge valve. And EVAP emission system high purge flow, that's again one that's P0946. That is a reason why we have this code, because of the open the purge valve. So anyhow, so originally we only had the one code, and that was P0946. And now we're going to clear these codes. And then we're going to go back under the hood again, leave the light on, and hopefully we should be able to see computer controlling this purge valve. I was just curious, and I opened the valve. I just got it all the way around. So this part is connected to a intake manifold, and this is connected to the EVAP line, and of course this is the electrical connector. Now there's like two parts of this valve. You got a mechanical part and electrical part. Now down here it's you can see the little solenoid, and that has a spring. So when this solenoid is energized, we have a we're going to create magnetic field. And now this plate with a this seal, the rubber seal sits on top of it like this, and when solenoid is energized, it's going to push this plate down, and then this valve, this seal is going to open and allow the vacuum, so it allow the vacuum to, it kind of sits like this. Alright, so it sits like this, and with a solenoid de-energized, this spring is supposed to push this all the way up against this part of the valve to seal this opening here. Now when it's energized, then it will the magnetic field is going to push this plate down, and then it's going to this seal is going to be moved away from the top of the valve, and then it's going to open, and it's going to be connected to the EVAP system. So I'm not sure what failed on this one. Is maybe the spring is weak, or this seal seems to be of, I'm sorry, I'm just keeping it, so the seal looked okay to me, so I'm not sure what part. Most likely this spring, it's not pushing this plate, this valve all the way up to seal this top part of the whole assembly. The computer is not energizing the purge valve right now, so I cannot show you guys how this light flickers. Pretty much same like injectors or something like that, but anyhow, this will be fixed. I'm gonna just test for the leak on the rest of the system, but
this is it. I'm 100% sure this was the only problem on this.
Alright, so I was
anyway.
able to, after I reconnect the purge valve, now the computer is energizing the purge valve. You can see the light is flickering, so this also confirmed that our driver inside the PCM is working okay. And sometimes you can actually put the finger on the valve itself, and you can feel the vibration as the valve closes and opening, because this is a pulse width modulated signal from the PCM and keeps like a very fast speed. It will actuate this valve. And most of the time when a valve fails and the computer turns it on, it's going to be louder, you know. So, but anyhow, this is it. Nothing else to it. All right, guys. Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye bye.